Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host Sean Gondaro, and today we're going to discuss about the Batman's Catwoman finally outdoes Burton's vision. Catwoman plays a huge role of the Batman, and Zoe Kravitz brings a version of a character to life that finally surpassed Michelle Pfeiffer's. The Batman brought a new look to the DC Cap Crusader by a large portion of the movie's success around the world can be attributed by Zoe Kravitz Catwoman. Kravitz takes on a Catwoman alongside Robert Pattinson Batman. Is arguably the best live-action portrayal character has been received, even better than classic Burton rendition. There's no small feat to accomplish that despite the character receiving two live-action film irritation since the Burton Batman Returns, the version of the character portrays the Michelle Pfeiffer's in the Batman Return considered by many to be gold standard, yet the Batman manages to give the audience a Catwoman that certainly holds up. Introduced as the cat in the Batman Issue 1, 1940, Catwoman is an integral part of Batman icon Belkane Bob Finger hope Catwoman will give the comic some sex appeal while also giving the female readers. Perhaps it's not a role model by figure but empowerment since Catwoman's complicated moral compass and relationship with the Dark Knight continues to captivate the readers to this day. This also means she has a storied relationship with the film, is the only Batman antagonists aside from the Joker and the Penguin to appear in three separate standalone Batman film eras today. Julia Newmar, Lee Mayweather, and Eartha Kitt all portray Catwoman during the light-hearted 1960s Batman era alongside Adam West. Michelle Pfeiffer brought the darker, moral, complex character to life in the Burton era. More recently, Anna Hathaway provide the more grounded portrayal of character in The Dark Knight Rises. A standalone 2004 Catwoman film starring Halle Berry was produced but not well received. Related Rabbit Parasites aside, his Batman should have a young Robin. The Batman approaches Catwoman in a way that's both different. The family disability to choose what aspect keeps, what aspect divine would allow Matt Rivers as a Kravis to avoid pitfall of an older version. As a result, relationship between the Catwoman and Batman can really be brought to fore, helping highlight core aspect of the character. All these amount to Zoe Kravitz Catwoman being arguably superior to even Louder Bishop, Pfeiffer at re-edition. How's the Batman Catwoman is different to the past version? The Burton Irritation Catwoman is far removed from her traditional comic book background and usually far more in line with some interpretation of another major Batman antagonist, Poison Ivy. There is a duality, uncertainty Michelle Pfeiffer portrayal that traditionally isn't the part of character in Catwoman generally rather aware of who is she, comfortable with herself, the time secretary exclusive assistant, is killed by her crook boss only to Lepoli by revived by cats returning with a supposedly slew and cat-based and superpowers, including 9 lives through the most of the injuries throughout. The film would have likely been non-fatal, so it's difficult to tell suddenly uncanny, guilty and fighting powers. Vampire's Catwoman is morally complex, that she's struggling against herself for much of the film, but she isn't a cat burglar at all, and perhaps the biggest departure from the original character. The Catwoman, despised by Anna Hathaway in The Dark Knight, Rise returns to the character roots in the way the version of Selina Kyle. In fact, Thief, whose alter ego is simply known as the cat in the film. However, she played the version of the character who has much longer history of a crime to the point that she has recorded. She is unable to shake it off, keeping clear in the record become the primary motivation for this Catwoman throughout the film. Sword survival instance, Hathaway version takes her back earlier days rather than more modern irritations in the comics since the late 80s. The Batman chooses to take grounded approach much like the Dark Knight Rises, however, it chooses to take more beats from character modern comic book interpretation. Zoe Carves plays the Selena Kyle, which she's still fairly early in her career, so early in fact she hasn't yet taken the Catwoman's name. She cat burglar, but it's suggested to have far only used the skillest of the rip-off mob both despite the later starting as a appetite for turning towards that she's perceived from the corrupt elite, while not the sex worker like she went first imagined in the 80s. The Batman Selena Kyle works in the Penguin's Iceberg Lounge when she scouts new marks of obtaining information. Much of her character is driven by the vengeful stake, and she steals as much to spite other as she does enrich herself. Related, why is Batman's Gotham PD spin-off was right to be shelved? How's the Batman's Catwoman avoided the Dark Knight Rises mistakes? Nolan Dark Knight trilogy has uphill battle introducing Catwoman and a villain fighting not just against the strong foulness of Michelle Pfeiffer's version, but also emmangled in 2004 standalone Catwoman. The end of result is something many argue neither as bad as the later nor memorable as the former. This is not a lot to do with the character simply feeling like afterthought in much of the film. This is likely because she was behind the scenes features revealed the character was only included because the Christopher Nolan brother insists her to do so. The unfortunate effect, this Catwoman whose presence is underwhelming to many, most notable in her relationship to Batman, which often views as the critical part of the character, that knocks on the effect of that, however, is the overall shallowness of the ending, whereas the two are seen together. By contrast, the Batman makes the dynamic between the two characters integral to the film. Zoe Carves, the Catwoman, isn't an antagonist so much as she impulsive and complicating the Targiness as a result of this far more significant role in the story. She and Robert Pattinson and Batman interact more, cooperate with another from the early point of the film, placing Catwoman in the role of the ally majority of the film rather than only in the final act, which is more common previous Batman versions of Catwoman. It doesn't distract from the complex nature of their relationship, as their Catwoman is still very much criminal, and Batman repeatedly has to get in the way of her and her personal vendetta. It's like what makes the ending arguable strongly because it's founded upon a relationship that was built throughout the movie, which shows the two of them tending in different directions despite being drawn to one another. Zoe Convinced Catwoman is perfect for Robert Pattinson's Batman. Zoe Convinced Selena Kyle plays foil Batman in a way of Catwoman before really had the opportunity to effort to make before really had made the opportunity ever to make, half Catwoman has to do is the Dark Knight Rises, but without the ability to really see much Selina's life alongside the costume in disguise and effect is weaker by contrast. The Batman's version Selina is front center, saying she's yet really take on the costume's persona. Her life is the forefront, which means better job. Painting the character Batman reflection, it actually begins the character aren't Selina at all. It goes far back as the learning about the connection between Thomas Wayne and Carmen Falcon. Once the audience learns the Falcon is an unlikely Selena father, the picture becomes more evident Bruce Wayne as Batman and Selena Kyle. As Catwoman has connection that predates either of them, the connection cements the upsetting trajectories through life. One of the major themes of the film is that wealth of class have no Selena relationship with her father, or more specifically, the lack therefore results in her being the latter. Bruce is obviously the former, but doesn't really care about it, and the wealth status behind using the facilities in a quest for vengeance is the cause of Selena to hold the wealth elite particularly high contempt when it includes her mind sees them all. Neglect the problems of the lower class best were at the point of causing those problems the worst. One of them could argue, however, that has the point Bruce Wayne arguably does nothing with his money, using rather selfishness, his quest of vengeance, and is never known to use the kind of humanitarian philanthropy that would help people beyond what could do in bad soup. That's that said, he's realizing could do be more in the major theme of the movie. However, this makes sense. Related, the Batman introduction is better than anything Nolan did. These upbringing, however, lead to perhaps the most central way in which characters are different despite or perhaps because of her upbringing. Carvisalina is shown to be clinical quietly, emphatic displays directly counter righteousness Suppressed very rapid parents in Batman despite it's perhaps most clearly shown in how they're related to people Bruce pushes people most notable his loyal comic sidekick of offered and the circus away the virtually every turn. Selena but her talent mission has things about straight. She lets people into her life, holds them dear while previous versions of Catwoman have demonstrated the character rogue witch heart. The Batman's Catwoman exemplifies these aspects of character the best through the tragic relation with her friend. Yes, Zoe Conrad's Catwoman is better than Michelle Pfeiffer's version. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is a fan of favorite for good reason. Pfeiffer portrays quickly and fun while having the classic theme Burton darkness to it and certain level and tragedy which also being empowering in it. On way, the main theme around Michelle Pfeiffer Payfire's Catwoman came from struggle again in misogyny. Payfire's traditional Selena Kyle and Batman return was effectively trampled by men, and her life up until the point where her boss tried to kill her. And when she came back, she'd had enough. Pfeiffer's performance bring a lot Catwoman's character, especially with her ability despite the dual nature of Batman Return version of Selena, while Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman is all of those things. However, it isn't a special complex while Batman Returns version of Catwoman deals with her dually in her personality. Her motivation are hardly explored, leaving her decision to try to kill Batman with penguins seems strange. Likewise, her playing antagonist for majority of the movie means that while Bruce and Selena relation is shown throughout the Batman and Catwoman interaction, really realize that dually Bruce is made very little throughout the Batman Returns that impact the relationship isn't what could be, along with Batman Returns never actually explains why Selena Kyle became Catwoman at all. It's never made clear how Cat revived and it supposedly gave her 9 lives. No inspired her actually became a costume vigilant in particular. The Batman not only grounds and portrays the Catwoman and also helps to provide the character with a whole new complex Zoe Carver's Catwoman is already more or less perfect foil to Robert Pattinson Batman. They spend good portraying of the movie playing off another the strategy the relationship Catwoman motivation is fairly evidently inspired the Batman himself and everything she does has a very clear motivation all stemming back to her abandonment by her father and her contempt for a lib. A whole new Catwoman is the most complex the character ever been on the big screen, making her one of the standout of the movie. The question remains when Zoe convinced Catwoman will appear next to Penguin TV series, the Batman 2, or another project entirely. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and follow for more. Thank you for listening.